afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for this excellent webinar in company of very good friends. I don't have to introduce them to you. You've all seen their biography slides, but it's my pleasure today to be joined in this panel by Tomás Cibaja, President of the Aerospace Cluster of Baja California, Adolfo Viramontes, President of the Aero Cluster of Chihuahua, and Eduardo Guizar, President of the Aero Cluster of Sinaloa. And I represent myself, the Aerospace Cluster of Monterrey in Nuevo León. So the four of us are very active within the industry, and we're all brothers in arms, so to speak. And we all come from different locations and regions within Mexico. Most of them, I mean, all of them practically are within the northern region of Mexico. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Let's start. We have about 1 hour to go over a list of different questions, some rather general to understand an overview of the situation in your region, and others will be a little more specific to understand more about strategies within your regions and collaboration activities among clusters. For our audience today, I invite you to use the Q&A within your Zoom app. Please let us know what are your comments and questions, and we will allow a 10 to 15 minute slot at the end of this conversation so we can answer your questions. So my first question today, and I'm going to invite Tomás and Adolfo to unmute themselves. I would like to know if you can tell us a little bit more. Let's start with you, Tomás, about which would be the main problems that the aerospace cluster, the aerospace sector faces nowadays in Baja California.
Thank you, Claire. And I want to congratulate Mexico Now for this opportunity, along with my colleagues from different clusters, as you mentioned. And to answer your question, yes, we have problems, we have issues, we have challenges. This pandemic opened like a Pandora box in terms of the infrastructure that we need, especially because in 2020, many people relaxed construction of new buildings. We had an issue with the electricity demand that because several operations work at 30%, 50% because it was a government mandate. We didn't see clearly the demand at full capacity, and now that we are reactivating our industry, we realize that we need more electricity. Same with people. We are hiring more and more people. We don't have enough people for our factories, and same situation with the different conditions in terms of availability for buildings, water, electricity. It's a good thing to have. Those are good problems to have. Recently, it was shown at in the national media that Baja California is leading in foreign direct investment, and we are experiencing that in our sector. Evidently, California is a big magnet for our industry as well, and we are now having these growing pains that are naturally, but we are happy to have them.
Understood, Tomás. Thank you. How about Adolfo? Can you tell us a little bit more about Chihuahua? Is it similar or different?
Gracias, Claire, a ti y a México Now por la invitación. ¿Me escuchas? Sí, ¿verdad? Okay, we have similar problems to other locations in aerospace industry. I would assume it's not different. It's not related to infrastructure, however. But the main problem we are facing is our membership. The companies here in the city, they have plenty of capacity without usage. Some of them were reduced the demand for about 80%, and they have, of course, plenty of capacity. And you know, like any other places, they had to let people go last year. Even though we are seeing a recovery, of course, is not yet ready to use at 100% the capacity of those facilities. So we will talk a little bit about the diversification strategy that some of them are trying to do, but later during the webinar. So the other problem is we have to find packages to feed those companies here locally. So we have, as you know, we have OEMs here in Chihuahua, big companies, and we have to be convinced that we have to provide those small and medium-sized companies enough parts to feed their plants. Okay, so in at the same time we have to try to explore new capacities or new capabilities for the future. So I think we are pretty strong in machine shops, sheet metal parts, but we have to think in the medium and long term and try to evaluate composites and try to be ready for the future and not wait until the future get us. Okay. And the other problem is, let's be honest, the decisions of the packages yet are being taken in the corporate offices in USA. It's up to the company, you know, but unfortunately here in Mexico, we don't take the decisions about contracts yet. And some of them that is happening and is going to be happening in the future, but not now. However, we cannot, I mean, we, the leaders of the organizations, we have to be promoting Mexico and not just Chihuahua, but Mexico as a potential supplier. And of course, as we have been discussing, we have to be convinced that we have a pretty competitive cost. We don't want to be, again, we don't want to be recognized just as a low cost country, but we have a pretty competitive cost and we have a good quality, good leadership here to send parts here to Mexico. I mean, we have to be promoters of Mexico, not just Chihuahua. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Adolfo. So from what I can hear, and if you allow me the term, I'd say you both have good problems. And it's interesting to know about your perspective, because from a regional point of view, I would say our problems in Nuevo León are different. We don't have the same problems as the ones in Baja or Chihuahua. So it's an interesting conversation to start with. So moving on, we're all in the cluster, aerospace cluster sphere, and the audience, I would assume most of them probably know that both Baja and Chihuahua are among the oldest aerospace clusters in Mexico. And today we have Eduardo from Sinaloa, and so Sinaloa is known for a lot of stuff, not specifically for its aerospace clusters. So I am personally very excited to get to meet you, Eduardo, and to have you among us today, so you can tell us and share a little bit more about your projects to lead this new aerospace hub or aerospace cluster. We've heard a little bit about the new Mazatlan airport, so that's exciting. It's a promising news. I'm going to start my next question with you, Eduardo, if you don't mind. I'd like to know if you can tell us a little bit more about what would be some local, maybe national and even international, I know in your case it's very relevant, integration strategies. What have you been working on to promote the development of the aerospace sector in your region?
Claire, thank you very much. Adolfo, Tomas, Juan Manuel, and everybody here, thank you very much. Okay, Claire, we don't have the same problems that Tomas and Adolfo in and their clusters. We have our own problems. It's not growing problems, it's newborn problems, but everything is okay, everything is going fine. And the Sinaloa Aerospace Cluster is of recent creation and is privileged with the contribution we make to the aerospace industry of Mexico, of the world too, as you just said, with the construction of a new industrial park with services of the highest technology in a property of 201 hectares. It will be unique in the country by having the incorporation of a projected private airstrip that is up to 3 kilometers. The airport you just mentioned is 3 kilometers long for the arrival of aircraft of the size of a Boeing 747, a cargo Boeing. The park is currently under construction as it's being completed in 2 phases, which phase 1 is 68 hectares and will be completed this coming December. This modern infrastructure will have LEED certification and will allow Mexico to have the necessary facilities so that the national and international groups can be installed for the construction of complete ships, and this take off directly from the enclosure of their final destination. Okay, this is an industrial park. Okay, it is an industrial park, but with a airspace or aeronautical space vocation, unique in the country, with capacity to house companies capable to assemble a complete aircraft that can fly out of there. This is one of the main objectives in this big. Yeah.
So your strategy is based. So you plan on developing this cluster mostly around this, I guess, this vertical axe, which is basically this new airport that you're building. Okay.
Yes, it's a big park. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Tomas, you mentioned that you're basically I mean, the Baja sector probably works a lot reflecting what's going on in California. Can you share a little bit more about your international strategies within Baja and your cluster, maybe with California and probably other regions too?
Yes, Claire. Actually, as you mentioned earlier, we are one of the oldest, probably the oldest cluster. We started in 2006, our organization. We have over 200 members, and our members comes from different states in Mexico, not only from Baja. We actually have members from Chihuahua, members from Monterrey, Querétaro, Sinaloa, Baja Sur. We have members from Southern California, and we have also members from Colombia, among other places in scattered in all over Mexico. Our cluster, because of the profile that we have in our binational relationship that we have with California, has grown internationally in terms that we have agreements, signed agreements of cooperation. First, with the Aerospace and Defense Forum, which is a big event, big organization that has several chapters, not only in California, but in several states in the US. We also have a signed agreement with France. Also, we have it with Colombia and Brazil. And we just recently signed with El Salvador. Our intention is to support those new clusters in the emergency of a clusterization per specialization based on their vocation. So that's how, with several years already in the making, what we wanted is to make sure that we are able to mentor, we're able to support these new clusters, because that's the way to communicate, especially on this type of technical information and norms and regulations that apply to our industry. As we are witnessing right now with Boeing and Airbus in their new recently published outlooks, the situation that we are experiencing, it's a hiccup that happened in the past and that we will be able to surpass. So if we look at the long run, we have to be prepared, especially Mexico, evidently our brothers in Central America and South America, with these new opportunities. And the way to do it is precisely communicating, sharing, participating in this type of dynamics that we are having right now with our friends from Chihuahua and Sinaloa and with you, Claire. So the intention is that how can we, with our expertise and our experience in the international arena, can replicate what works best for each particular case using the best business practices. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you very much. Adolfo, you told us before you represent the aerospace cluster from Chihuahua, and you're also a very well recognized representative from the industry, being that you are the general manager for the Bell operation in Chihuahua. Have you heard, or what would be your thoughts on this new trend that keeps going around in circles? I've heard rumors about it, but I haven't seen anything very concrete yet about this new phenomenon of supply chain regionalization. Like supposedly it's an effect from the COVID pandemic, and I don't know, maybe a year ago, or a little over a year ago even, we were hearing rumors that, you know, the suppliers based in China were going to move back to America, and it would be a huge opportunity for Mexico. What are your thoughts about this, and how is Chihuahua as a region preparing to, I don't know, to offer its capacities? You were telling us about your surplus of capacities earlier.
You know, Claire, by coincidence, this week I received an investor who put a plant not in Chihuahua but in Puebla, and it was because of that situation with the regionalization of the supply base. So it was a coincidence, not aerospace industry, but it's happening. It's happening. We would like to see it in a faster way, of course, to really prove the companies are moving to Mexico. But we see a trend, and again, I prove it. I tested this week with this visitor, and it is going to happen. Okay. And of course, what we are doing here in Chihuahua is we are trying to promote the capabilities of our members. You are aware we are working pretty hard with the capabilities mapping we are doing in the industry. It's something pretty basic, but it's pretty important, because with this you can sell those capabilities to foreign investors. Probably the big employers here, they don't require that, but for the medium and small companies, it's pretty important, because they need to promote their capabilities, because the need from those big companies is already there. So we are doing that. We are working a lot in the digitalization of the website, social media. This is something that we left behind a little bit, and the pandemic helped, I mean, push us to do that, but we think it's going to stay forever now. So it's helping us a lot to promote those capabilities, again, to foreign investors, but even more, it's going to help us to identify the gaps we have in the city. Because remember, a cluster is not just having a bunch of companies located in the same city. You have to have the different capabilities that create the perfect ecosystem. So that is key, because when foreign investors, they come, they want to see that ecosystem working for them. If they have to send parts all over the places in Mexico, they might decide to put it in different cities. So that is key for us, and that's why that the capabilities mapping is key for the future of the cluster. Okay.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I think you have a point. You're absolutely right. I think I was told before several years ago by an investor from Asia. I can't remember exactly what country he was from, but he basically said, so Mexico has a huge advantage. It's you guys are within the largest domestic market for aviation, and sometimes it seems as if we didn't realize that, being that, for one, the aerospace industry is still very young and very, I want to say, seldom in Mexico. Like we still lack a lot of different processes. And the second factor is, it seems that regions sometimes compete against themselves within Mexico, when you guys should be considering yourselves as one big cluster. And I think, and I don't want to go ahead of myself here, but with Tomás, with Adolfo, now with Eduardo, and I want to include people also from Querétaro, from Guanajuato, and from Sonora. We've come a long way in terms of communication, as you were saying, Tomás, a few minutes ago, and we all suffered from the disappearance of ProMexico a few years ago, who was doing a tremendous job in terms of promoting the Mexican image abroad. And I think we've come a long way in the sense that we understand now that even if regions are not the same, and we have different sets of capabilities, different strategies even to grow the sector, we are one big region in the end. So it's interesting it will be interesting for us to keep improving those communication channels between ourselves. You also said, and I think that's I think that's true, especially for us in Nuevo León. You said a cluster is supposed to be, an investor wants to see a cluster as an ecosystem working for them, and I think we still have a long way to go. In Nuevo León, we have very seldom capabilities integrations between our different companies. So we can't talk really about a supply chain, so to speak. We're more offering different sets of capabilities. And as in Chihuahua, we also have a certain capability surplus at the moment. We have a lot of machines that are not being used. Yesterday, I was talking to a member of mine and asking him, what's your main pain point at the moment? What keeps you awake at night? And he said, we all have three main pain points. It's either work or projects that we don't have, that we lack, or if we have them, we lack people, and if we have people, we lack machines. But it's work, people, and machines. And so talking specifically about the work aspect of this dynamic trio, Eduardo, I'd like to ask you if you've in Sinaloa, are you going, given that you have a very clear strategy built around this new airport, do you have anything in mind regarding specific training for your people in Sinaloa? What would be your strategy in regards to human resources?
Thank you, Claire. Thank you. Okay. About that, prospecting is already directed at companies that manufacture various components, so that in the medium and long term are gradually integrated into a local supply chain, which is equal close to gradually from the form the assembly of a complete aircraft. So the manufacture and assembly of components may be for small, medium, and large aircraft, like light aircraft, helicopters, drones, private and commercial jets, and more. Companies that offer MRO services in Mexico, they are promoting to extend their license to operation to install more than one workshop in the park. In addition, companies that provide aesthetic maintenance for the exterior and interior of aircraft. The park includes a private FBO terminal. Sorry, I'm reading some points about what you are asking. In the park, we are going to have a specific area to receive universities from different states, even from different countries, to get the environment to learn and to be prepared for all the disciplines related with the aerospace activity. So about your question, yes, we are going to work a lot as cluster and as park, as the aerospace park, in the human resources, preparing people, actualizing people, always. If you give me 2 seconds to give to the audience the address in the internet of the park, is aerospacepark.mx. I don't know if you can type it in the information of the webinar. Is aerospacepark.mx, just like that.
Thank you. We don't have actually a chat with the audience, but I'm sure they've all picked up on that address. Thank you,
Okay.
Eduardo.
Okay.
Moving on to a next topic, I'd like to know, and here I'd like to talk specifically about clusters organizations, so to speak. Adolfo, could you share with us an example of, and I know this is during the pandemic, but let's talk about the 18 previous months, so COVID time. What would be, according to you as president of the cluster, what would be like the biggest achievement you think the aerospace cluster of Chihuahua has offered to its membership?
Of the biggest achievements, of course, we increased the membership. We increased a lot the membership. What does this mean? Of course, that they want to do business. So, and that is always good, okay? And of course, besides that, we have a lot of successes. Of course, some companies are struggling to go through this process. A few of them, they are really struggling, but the point here is we are trying to do business. We are trying to help them to do business with companies that even are not part of the aerospace industry. We are helping them to diversify their processes. So because the intention of the cluster is really to have a robust supply base. We cannot afford the closed operation. So if we have to help them to get business, this is what we are trying to do. And I think in some cases It's not that easy because you know it's a very competitive business in the automotive industry, but we put them there where they can get business, okay. And we are still having a lot of interest. We are still receiving a lot of investors, foreign investors. Next week we are going to have another visitor. I mean, this same week we had another investor that is interested to move in operations to Chihuahua. So unfortunately, it's hard to say this, but this is what I learned when I came to the aerospace industry. To get a contract, you have to invest a lot of time, but once you get a contract, you will get it for 20 years. So the main achievement is the interest is still there. Of course, we have interest to go to FAMEX, and that is another achievement because even with the pandemic, our booths are going to be full. So, and as you know, it's in a month. It's going to be in a month in Querétaro. So, again, a lot of challenges, but a lot of successes too. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Adolfo. It's interesting to know that with the pandemic and the aerospace sector being so depressed at the moment, that you've been able to increase your membership. So congratulations for that. It's very interesting to know. So of course,
just
go
to
ahead.
comment, just to comment that a lot of people, they think that the cluster is just to promote industry. Probably the most important part is to promote, right? But we have a structure that is can support the companies, the membership. So we have different committees. Probably you are familiar with it, but not a lot of companies use those committees. But a lot of small companies, we are a support to them to get training, certification, and in some cases, let's say it, even money. So we are a strong structure that is working for those companies. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Same struggle here. People want to get most of their membership fee with the cluster to get promoted, but then when it's time to participate, to work committees, it's a little harder to convince them. Anyways, that's what we're for. I'd like for everyone to approach their regional cluster and have this conversation of understanding how a cluster can support the industry, and not only by attending air shows, even if we have to attend air shows, and we will be in FAMEX also, and so will Tomas, and so will Eduardo, and I hope to meet every one of you in a month's time. Tomas, so we know that having trained people is key to support the industry. We've been over this. We know that in Baja you have an excellent God-given location, that you're doing tremendous work at an international level to create new relations among clusters and industry. If an investor comes to you with a specific project in mind, according to you, what would be what kind of support can you offer them? How do you sell the cluster from Baja?
Yes, actually, our cluster is comprised with 51 experts, and those experts actually are listed in our website. In the section ¿Quiénes somos?, you will see our mission, vision, objectives as a cluster, and also the listing of the experts that participate actively. Each of them has either a commission or they support a business segment. and all of them are part of the industry here in Baja, and they support also other states in Mexico. Evidently, when someone comes, the situation in the past, usually with other sectors, is that you offer competitive labor and you offer some kind of tax incentives, etc. That doesn't really apply with our industry. Our industry, what is looking in our state in particular, I'm sure is a reflection of other regions in Mexico, is the quality, as you mentioned, Claire, of the people. What kind of programs the universities are implementing to graduate people that eventually will be incorporated into the projects that companies have. What we are witnessing right now on these expansion plans that the companies have is precisely that. We are witnessing, as it was mentioned by Adolfo, a regionalization. Actually, there are corporate companies are telling their supply base director or the supply chain executives, please search in Mexico. We had in the past excellent suppliers from Asia and other regions, but due to logistics, due to cost reduction, due to other factors, they are now looking at Mexico as an option. So we have to take that into consideration when we offer not only the location, you pointed that very clearly, Claire, we have a God-given location, but that is not enough. But also with that situation, we have to share the information. And the cluster network, it's important because we don't see it. And this is
I think our friend Thomas just froze, so something happened on his side. Let's hope he rejoins.
To confirm or to affirm to any investor that Mexico is an option, even if they decide that Baja, for whatever reasons, is not the place, we will support them with the people that we have, with the companies that we have, because what we realize in several of the analyses that we do in our industry is that we provide parts and components to Querétaro. We also receive parts and components from Querétaro. Same with Chihuahua, same with Monterrey, same with other important regions like Sonora. So with all of these, we realize that we are a single unit with different membranes all over Mexico, and we have to take the competitive advantage that that offers to sell precisely that, the beauty of our country, the advantages that we have, and the specialization and the valuable information that the cluster handle. That's the way to go. And what I'm trying to emphasize as well is that sometimes people get confused with the type of work that the clusters should abide by. We are not promoters of investments. We are promoters of businesses. We are promoters of opportunities and alliances among the industry. And if for that reason, that provides certainty to companies to decide and settle an operation, welcome. But to promote investment, that's the governments are paid for in every single state. We don't do that, but what we've offered to our authorities at the federal, state, and municipal level is accurate information. We wanted as a clusters to be the key reference point. So when they say, Thomas, can you provide me how many companies we have in Mexicali? How many companies we have in Tijuana? How many people are employed per area? What type of matrix of capabilities we have? That's where the cluster becomes valuable. We are precisely settled with the intention to create this network in our region, and as a result of that, provide the information that is required.
Right, absolutely, I agree 100%. And I think we all have it within ourselves to also partner with our local and federal authorities to be a partner in promotion activities, even though that's not what we're here for. I agree completely. So I still have a couple questions to go over with all of you guys before we go ahead with the Q&A. I'd like to know. I'd like to know from a region or a cluster point of view, with the exception of Eduardo, maybe who's newest to this game, but we've all been here for the past 10 years and more. What do you think is lacking in terms of communication between regions or clusters, and what would you, if you could ask for something that you wish happened, what would it be? Adolfo?
Between regions, you mean clusters?
That's right. Like, what do you think? I mean, even if we've come a long way in terms of, communicating more and better among clusters, what do you think is still lacking, and how would you solve it?
Oh, well, it's hard for me to compare the progress we have had since, 10 years ago, because I'm relatively new in the position. But even though I think it's a good communication between clusters and FEMIA, because we are pre-aligned to FEMIA, and we have interactions every other week, Claire, between our clusters. I think we have to pass from just communication to really do business. I think in the past we did road shows. Remember what is the name? Road shows, where actually companies from different cities, they were going to the host city to do business. I think we need to promote more the business between locations, because we might identify business opportunities for direct supply chain, but indirect services too. I think we have to explore more that business. To have more business approach than just verbal communication. That thing we are lacking on that part. Okay.
Okay, thank you. My last question, and I'd like to invite you to pitch in. I think I heard in a previous panel, I can't remember who said that, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone, but someone was saying that, and it might have been FEMIA, I think, the two largest challenges for Mexico as a country regarding the aerospace sector are, I think, twofold. One is the enormous challenge for the country to grow the supply base to help OEMs and primes established in the country for 10 years or so, to reduce or on the contrary, to grow the national components for their operations and reduce the volume of imports that they currently have. That would be one, and I think that's where the clusters should be focusing on. And the second problem was access to financing mechanisms for SMEs and so on. What's your take on this? Do you agree with these two problems? I'm exiting a little bit the regional scope of our conversation here, but how do you agree? Maybe Tomas, if you can share something with us.
Yes, actually, the mandate of our cluster, and I'm sure it's similar to the other ones, is two important pillars. One is the correlation that we should have with the universities to develop the talent that is required. That is a must. And secondly, is to precisely support with identifying those small and medium sizes enterprises or even large enterprises that have to look into our sector. If they are based in Baja or in Mexico, have to look into our sector because there are a lot of misconceptions on the aerospace. Many people think that it's complicated. Yes, it is. It's strict. Yes, it is. It demands a lot of attention and quality. Yes, it does. But at the same time, the rewards are important. And we have to look and we have to teach and we have to somehow explain that the long term is the one that will provide the rewards that is required. We understand that there are other sectors in which the market changes and the companies disappeared. The consumer changes their satisfaction, and then companies have to adapt. The aerospace industry is no different, but we are very conservative in the plans and the projections. So there is a way in which we can inform properly, and that's one of the key elements that the cluster offered and should offer, is to go and knock at everybody's door. There are 19 categories that Boeing provided to all of us, saying we need machining, we need plastic injection, we need metal stamping, we need this, we need that, we need design. So with only those 19 categories that Boeing provided, which is similar to what Airbus, Fokker, Gulfstream, Bombardier required, we have to look at those companies and we have to do our work with our experts. We have to do the breach analysis. We have to identify what the companies required and the clusters, because some of the organizational structures of the companies are small. We have to provide that extra support in order to get those companies being certified and eventually look at potential projects that the companies are looking. The companies in itself, the large tractor companies or the tier ones and tier twos, they came into Mexico for their location and the cost of some of the operational elements, but it's our duty as cluster to find and present options to them. They are not obligated to look at suppliers. Eventually, if it makes business sense, they will look at it, but they will not sacrifice an existing supplier or an existing vendor from the US or Europe if we don't have a better offer, even though it's across the street. So we have to make sure that we are with a clear network among ourselves as clusters, among our members, because members in our case, and I'm sure I repeat, similar to what other members in other clusters are, they are expecting a value of services. And that's what we have to be proud of, that we have to offer a valuable service to our members in finding opportunities that otherwise by themselves, it will be more difficult to find.
Okay, thank you, Tomas. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit here because I know there's no other panel right after us. So we can, if people are willing to stay for a little bit longer, we can extend this discussion for another 5 or 10 minutes after the hour. And maybe I see that we have a couple of questions in the Q&A. So Alejandro Ivan Bermudez asks, talking about aerospace industry, what is the position of Mexico against other countries? I don't know to who would like to answer this question. It's not directed to anyone in particular. I'm not sure if I understand against other countries, but I guess it means in comparison to other countries.
Yeah, I don't know those statistics. The only data that I know is from FEMIA, and you are familiar with it, is that we just build the 3%, between 3 and 4% of the total content of the aircraft. Okay, so it's nothing. I don't know how we are compared with other industries. Again, because I don't handle that data, but for sure, just building or manufacturing the 3% of the total aircraft is nothing. The potential is there. There is no other way that explode the growth. Okay.
Right. If we talk about some kind of ranking, I don't know if we can agree on this, but I remember that there was a goal from the Ministry of Economy at a federal level to gain a few places within the worldwide ranking of aerospace supplier countries, and I think the goal was to be within the first 10.
Yeah, we were the number 12, right? If I remember, that's the data that I don't know if Rene presented, but we were number 12, I think, right? Worldwide.
Okay. Eduardo, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Claire. As Tomás Silva has said a few minutes ago, we have to be prepared. It doesn't matter if we are neighbors of the greatest or the biggest country, the biggest aircraft builder in the world, if we are not prepared. If we don't prepare our small companies or medium companies, we are never going to be 10% of the aircraft in the air. So it's essential that the link with the universities is essential, because the students that are growing out of the universities are not really prepared. So the link with the academy is essential. It has to be strong. We have to see beyond what we are seeing now. It's not helping us to be the little brother of USA. We had to be, we had to prepare more what we are doing about our sector, the aerospace sector.
Okay. Do you have any specific proposal?
More communication with the universities, with the academy, with the educational secretary in Mexico.
Sorry, Eduardo, just, I don't know how that is handled in the other clusters, but I would like to explain you what we do here in Chihuahua. Probably is pretty similar to what you, Claire, are doing in Monterrey. But when we mention that we work under the triple helix concept, it's not just a sketch in any presentation. So what we do is we make surveys to the industry, and the industry we put clearly what kind of talent we require and we are going to require for the future, and those competencies that talent should have, and if they are lacking, I mean the current talent is not having such competencies, we write those. And about a month ago, we get together with them, with every institution here, to show them the data. And we work very close with them, and they come up with action plans to us. I mean, not specifically to us, but together we do it. I mean, this is the way we work here in Chihuahua, and I don't know if it's done the same way in other clusters.
It's the same in Baja. It's the same in Baja. I was with Tomás in the space chair, a lot of years there in Baja is the same. We are going to do the same here in Sinaloa. Querétaro is doing the same. A lot of states, a lot of cluster, but we had to scale that action to the federal authorities. That's what I meant. Yes, you're doing fine. Tomas is doing fine. Tomas is always working with universities, working with the academy. We are going to do the same. We are preparing to do that and offer a lot of options, different options to the students, to the industries, to have better handwork, better mind work. But we had to say to the federal, we had to push to the federal authorities to do the same.
So the next question is from Oscar Alberto Roman, and he asks basically, should it be understood that there is any regional competition, I guess he means, between the different clusters? What is the role of each cluster between them, and what is the integration with other institutions like FEMIA? Tomas, do you want to go ahead?
We don't see competition from our cluster with other clusters. On the contrary, what we see is opportunities for our members to reach out to other areas in which they can grow their businesses. As a matter of fact, everything that we do, we share it with other clusters. Claire and others are among my database. And same situation when someone requires suppliers, we don't keep it to ourselves, even though it would be logical just to think in terms of the people that pay membership to us. We don't limit to that, because what we want at the end is someone to say, hey, I will be able and I will be capable. Can I have that information? And the instructions that my team has is whomever requests information, no matter where they are, please provide information of the potential client that is looking to it. FEMIA is an important integrator because FEMIA offers the data at the national level, and each of us have information within our region. We might have some information, but always it's important to refer to the federal level. And to my understanding, and this is how we have this relationship with FEMIA, is they handle information at the national level, and we provide information that they include in their data when they have to provide information to the federal authorities, mostly in Mexico City.
Thank you, Tomas. Adolfo, there's a question for the Chihuahua Aerocluster. Norberto Guerra wants to know if you have any plans on hiring interns for the cluster, I mean.
For the cluster.
Yeah.
For the cluster. In fact, this is data we pass to the institutions, to the academy. And of course, in fact, in my plant, I'm hiring right now interns. It's pretty common to have that program because it's our talent base. So yes, the question is yes.
Yeah. So okay. So I guess Norberto, the answer is yes.
And of course, if he can, I would suggest if he is from another locations, he has to follow the index Bolsa de Trabajo page.
Right.
And I saw yesterday a lot of interns being looking.
Okay. Jorge Matuk from Monterrey asks if can you consider machining to be a main service in the aerospace industry? What is the percentage of machining services that you consider in the supply chain and production processes? So Adolfo, you guys do helicopters, fuselages. How much machining do you use in Bell?
We use a lot of machining components. Is either sheet metal and machining parts and composite. This is basically the the total content of the aircraft, plus steel, but minimum quantities, okay? And in fact, here in Mexico, I told you about the 3%, but I would say Bell probably has a higher content being built in Mexico. In Querétaro, we have a big supplier for this plan, which is, I don't see any issue mentioning Aernova. They are located in Querétaro, and they are, yeah, the machining parts for the aircraft is critical. I cannot tell you honestly specifically what is the percentage in the total content. That kind of data I don't have it in hand, but okay.
Okay. So speaking for the Monterrey region, I can tell Jorge that machining is critical to our cluster, at least. Most of our members come from the metal mechanic industry, and most of them do machining, and they are tier 2 to tier 3 suppliers to aerospace customers. I think it's about time we wrapped up. I'd like to know if each of you is willing to give final words. I'm going to give you 1 minute each. Eduardo.
Thank you. 1 minute. I try to be my best, but what about Tomas said we have to be clusters. We have to share more information because we had to be prepared for something that we are missing here. Is that TEMEC the TEMEC is going to be a big platform to expand business. So recently here in Sinaloa, we signed an agreement with the Caxor Group Institutional Fund to collaborate with the development on the TEMEC corridor, a mega project to aims to facilitate the trade of goods between Mexico, the United States, and Canada. This strategic corridor will aim to link the port of Mazatlan with Durango, with Monterrey, Dallas, Tulsa, Chicago, and in addition to ending in Winnipeg, Canada. Okay, so we hope we can do this kind of webinars more often. It's going to be healthy for everybody. It's going to be good for the industry. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Tomas. 1 minute to close. I think Tomas froze again. I'm sorry. Adolfo?
No, just to remind, if anyone is interested on investing in the aerospace industry, again, they can do it. They have to be perseverant, but at the long run, they are going to have contracts and for many years. And again, if you are leader of one organization, you have to promote in your headquarters that Mexico is the right place to be. If you are just doing operations or operating your plant, you are not doing enough. You have to promote Mexico, and it's going to be better for the next few years.
Thank you. Tomas, you need to keep moving so you don't freeze.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Claire. Well, to me, it's just a pleasure to see you, Claire, always. And I'm looking forward to see you again in FAMEX, along with Adolfo and Eduardo, among other cluster members in Querétaro. I wish every one of you the best, always. Most important, to be healthy, which is the basis for everything. So I'm just happy to be participating in this type of dynamics. Thank you, Juan Manuel Gonzalez, for the coordination behind doors, and to Mexico Now for the opportunity to see again my friends in this type of panels.
Absolutely, Tomas. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Thank you to Mexico Now and its team, wonderful team who coached us throughout this webinar. Thanks to all the audience. I can see that a bunch of people already left. I guess everyone's hungry by now. So I have nothing left to say, but yeah, keep on promoting Mexico. Let's see each other in FAMEX. Please visit all of our booths. See you in FAMEX. Have a great afternoon and enjoy the rest of the event. Remember, there's other webinars tomorrow.
Don't forget aerospacepark.com. Thank you.
Thank you. See you
Hasta
soon.
luego.